After a long and painful wait with plenty of drama like threats of tariffs, political trade tensions with the CCP, and endless rumors and false speculations about 1-inch sensors and 8K resolutions, the DJI Osmo Action 6 is finally here, in my hands, and is underwater in my local spring. As a longtime fan of the Action 5 Pro, I'm excited that I finally have this camera with me underwater, where I plan on seeing how much of an improvement we will get with this new and allegedly improved version of itself, and it's not so much bigger, but taller sensor. I'll explain more about that later. I'll also be excited to look at some other new features like this camera's variable f-stop, as we'll find out if this is actually something that's going to offer any real value or if this is purely a marketing gimmick. Either way, although as a huge fan of the Action 5, I'm hoping to see if the Action 6 offers any improvements on some of my pet peeves that I had with this predecessor, ranging from the intense vignetting and distortion that this camera has as soon as it went underwater, as well as its indecisive auto white balance where at times would endlessly shift around, making your footage unusable. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're as excited about this one as I am, because I just now got my hands on the DJI Osmo Action 6, and I'm sure you're dying to know how it compares to its highly respected predecessor, the Action 5 Pro. So in this video, we're going to waste little time in tearing this new camera out of its box before heading to my local spring to start with an underwater comparison between the Action 5 and the Action 6 in case you already own the 5 and you want to know if the difference is enough to justify the upgrade. And then of course, we'll be doing a full review of this camera's use underwater on everything from its specs, internal software, and even some brand new functionalities that I've yet to see offered on any other action camera. One of the things that excites me about this new camera is that it has the ability to stop up to f4, so we'll be taking a look at this new element along with some other features to see how they affect our underwater image. Then of course, we'll wrap this video up with plenty of underwater example footage shot with the Osmo Action 6. So let's not waste any more of your time, let's get this new camera out of its box. What I specifically have here is the Essentials combo for the DJI Osmo Action 6, and it comes boxed up in the standard packaging that you may be familiar with from the earlier models. Of course, everything will be sealed up in plastic, with our camera itself being the first thing that comes out of the box, along with all of our stickers and literature. Inside of this smaller box, we have a few accessories, but most importantly, it includes our charger, along with a 1950 mAh battery. We also have the magnetic mount, which is compatible with the other DJI cameras like the Osmo Nano and the Action 5, along with the screw that's meant to secure this magnetic mount. One thing that I noticed is that there is no protective cage like what we saw in the Action 4 and Action 5, but all in all, the box includes everything that we see laid out here. So now it's time to head to the local spring, get this camera in the water, and take a look at some comparison footage shot from the Action 6 side by side with the Action 5. As you can see on this first example shot, the Action 5's auto white balance is having a little bit of trouble keeping up, and as far as tint is concerned, it's a little bit too far on the green side. This isn't always the case, however, as we look at other examples. Although you can still see a slight difference in white balance performance between the two cameras, it is far less extreme and may come down to personal preference at this point, as the Action 5 seems to consistently stay a little bit more on the warmer side, whereas the Action 6 tends to favor more of the cooler side. I'm also not noticing too huge of a difference between the two in stabilization, but let me know in the comments if you see a difference yourself. In my personal opinion, aside from the white balance, I'm not noticing a huge difference in quality between the two cameras. I'm still seeing the same vignetting on the Action 6 that I used to always notice on the Action 5. However, both cameras appear to be tack sharp in the center of the image. Keep in mind this is all purely subjective, and I'd love to hear your opinion. But now that we compared this camera to the older Action 5, let's take a look at some of the physical features as well as the internal features on the Action 6. The DJI Osmo Action 6 has a 1/1.1 inch sensor as compared to the sensor on the Action 5, which is 1/1.3. On paper, it sounds like the Action 6 is going to have the larger sensor. However, the pixel size on each will be exactly the same. The only difference is that the sensor on the Action 6 is taller. So what this means is that if you're shooting horizontally or in 16:9, you shouldn't expect any bump in quality or boost in low light performance. The advantage that you're going to get with the new sensor on the Action 6 is that you can now shoot completely open gate with the square aspect ratio and then reframe your image afterwards to vertical or horizontal. This is especially exciting for those of us who like to shoot horizontal, but then would like to repurpose our content for a more vertical friendly video platform later on, maybe for Instagram or TikTok. And you're able to do this without any sort of loss in quality because of the square shape of the sensor. When you're reframing to vertical, you're not being forced to crop your image down to a smaller size. So if you're one who utilizes both horizontal and vertical video, I would say that this feature alone is worth the upgrade. The battery that comes stock with the Action 6 is going to be the same battery that we had on the Action 5. So if you're thinking about upgrading and you had a number of batteries from your Action 5, you can go ahead and keep those in your kit as they will be compatible with the Action 6. And depending on your settings, you can expect to get somewhere close to a 3-hour runtime with these batteries. Most action cameras have a fixed f-stop, usually at f2.8. However, the DJI Action 6 has a variable f-stop, so you can either set it in auto and let it auto adjust from f2 to f4, or you can set up a fixed f-stop at either f2.8 or at f4. Shooting in f4 will give us a little bit of that sunstar effect when pointing our camera into a bright source of light. It does seem to keep the outside edges of our image a little bit sharper to some small extent. However, in my opinion, the vignetting around the edges is still present, but let me know in the comments what you think. One of the first things that you'll notice about the Action 6 is that it's slightly larger than its predecessor and it will not be compatible with any old dive cases that you used to use with your Action 5. Looking at the back of the camera, you can see that we have a 2.5-inch OLED screen, and then flipping around to the front side of the camera, there's a smaller screen which can actually be set up as a forward-facing display screen. And directly underneath that front-facing screen is a small sensor. This is a white balance sensor that is used to automatically adjust for the camera's color balance as well as the exposure in any sort of complex lighting scenario. Just like on the Action 5, this camera's lens can be removed by unscrewing it, and this is where the macro lens will attach that you can purchase separately. When I first heard about this macro lens, I was very excited, but I was disappointed to find out that it's not intended for underwater use. This would be a good time to mention that this camera is completely waterproof on its own without a dive case down to a depth of 20 meters or 60 feet. At the moment of recording, there doesn't appear to be an official DJI dive case available. However, there are plenty of other dive cases on the market that you can choose from in case you have plans on going a little bit deeper or if you just wanted that added protection. Moving to the sides of the camera, you will see that we have a small hatch on one side that is for the USB-C port, as well as a larger hatch on the opposite side which contains the battery as well as the SD card. If your SD card fills up, fails, or if you happen to forget to bring one with you, this camera has 50 gigabytes of storage built into it. This is one of my favorite features that DJI has always included in their action cameras. And of course, nothing has changed from the older models as far as the power button and the record button are concerned. Keep in mind we can also short press the power button to cycle through the different modes and presets. And the last thing that I wanted to point out is that we have a similar magnetic mounting system as the older cameras had. The only difference is that we no longer need to pay attention to which way the camera is oriented when using these mounts, as they will attach in either direction. And although they do fit a little bit on the wonky side, the older DJI mounts are still compatible with the newer camera. And now that we've covered all of this, it's important to remember why we're all here, so let's get back into the water and have a little bit of fun. very excited to shoot with this new camera as I had very high expectations, but I want to hear from you on your opinion about the footage that you just saw. Did you notice a difference? And if you owned an Action 5, was the difference big enough to motivate you to upgrade? Either way, I hope that you found this video useful, and be sure to visit me on my Instagram. My profile's name is the same name as this channel, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have if you send me a DM. I can't wait to see you on the next dive. Thanks for watching.